Animorphs number 5, The Predator, by K.A. Applegate. Chapter 1. My name is Marco. I can't tell you my last name or where I live. Believe me, I wish I could. I would like nothing more than to be able to tell you that my name is Marco Jones, or Williams, or Vasquez, or Brown, or Anderson, or McCain. Marco McCain. Has kind of a nice sound, doesn't it? But McCain's not my last name. I'm not even going to swear to you that Marco is my first name. See, I'm hoping to live a while longer. I'm not going to make it any easier for the Yeerks to find me. I live in a paranoid world. But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean I don't have enemies. I have real enemies. Enemies that would freeze your blood if you only knew. So, see, I'd like to tell you my name and address and phone number too, because if I could do that, it would mean I no longer had any enemies. It would mean my life was normal again. It would mean I can go back to minding my own business. I believe in minding my own business, which is why what happened on my way home from the 7-Eleven was so dumb. I was walking down the street with some low-fat milk, a loaf of bread, and a bag of peanut M&Ms. Since my mom died, I've gotten stuck with a lot of shopping and stuff for my dad and me. This 7-Eleven isn't in the greatest neighborhood, so I was walking kind of fast, minding my own business, trying not to think about the fact that it was after 10 at night. And then I heard it. Just don't hurt me. Just don't hurt me. It was a man's voice, an old man from the sound of it. It was coming from a dark alley. I hesitated. I stopped. I pressed myself back against the cold brick wall of the building and listened. Just give me the money, old man. Don't make me hurt you. A second voice said, a younger voice, a tough voice. I gave you all of it, the old man cried. And then the punk said something I can't repeat. Basically, he was getting ready to pound the old man. I heard other voices, 3 punks total. It didn't look good for the old man. This is totally not your problem, Marco, I told myself. Stay out of it. Don't be an idiot. 3 punks, each of them probably twice as big as I was. I'm not exactly Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not even average height for my age, although I make up for it by being incredibly cute, and charming, and witty, and modest. But I was pretty sure the 3 big gang members in the alley were not going to be very impressed with my cuteness. Fortunately, I have other abilities. It had been a while since I had done this particular morph, but as I concentrated, I could feel it coming back. I slipped into the opening of the alley and hid in the shadow of a very smelly dumpster. The first thing that happened was the fur. It sprouted quickly from my arms and legs and all down my body. Thick, rough, ragged black fur. It grew long on my arms and my back and my head. It was shorter everywhere else. My jaw bulged forward. I could hear the bones in my jaw grind as they stretched and the non-human DNA changed my body. Morphing doesn't hurt. It creeps you out sometimes, but it doesn't hurt. And as morphs go, this one wasn't bad. I mean, I still got to keep all my usual arms and legs and stuff. Not like when I morphed into an osprey or a dolphin. I mean, when I was a dolphin, I was breathing through a hole in the back of my head. With this morph, I had arms, as usual, only they were a lot bigger. A lot bigger. My legs bent forward. My shoulders grew so massive, it was like having a couple of pigs sitting on my back. I also had an enormous round belly and a leathery chest. My face was a black, bulging, rubbery mask, and my eyes were practically invisible beneath my heavy brow. I had become a gorilla. Now here's the thing about gorillas. They are the sweetest animals around. If you leave them alone, they will mostly just sit and eat leaves all day. And that's all the gorilla mind really wanted to do right then. Eat some leaves, maybe a nice piece of fruit. But I was in that head too, along with the gorilla's instincts. And I had decided to teach those punks a little lesson. See, now that I was in that gorilla body, I weighed 400 pounds. And I was mighty strong. How strong? Let me put it this way. Compared to a gorilla, a human being is made out of toothpicks. I wasn't just twice as strong as a man. I was maybe 4, 5, 6 times stronger. Further down the alley, the punks had lost patience with the old man. Let's just kick his butt, one of the geniuses said. That's when I decided to say hello, to get their attention. I picked up the dumpster and threw it against the far wall of the alley. Yes, a full-size dumpster. Crash! Boom! What was that? Look, what is that thing? Whoa, that's some kind of a monkey. Monkey, I thought. Excuse me, monkey? I'll show you, monkey. Before they could decide what to do, I charged. Knuckles scraping the dirty ground. Hind legs propelling me forward. I charged. If the punks had any sense, they would have run. They didn't. Get it, one yelled. I grabbed him around his arm with one massive fist. I lifted him straight off the ground and threw him over my shoulder. Ah! Boof! He landed on the ground behind me. The two others rushed at me, one on the left, one on the right. I saw a knife glittering. The knife slashed my arm. It almost hurt. I yelled in pure gorilla. With my injured arm, I landed a backhand blow to the knife guy's chest. He flew back. I mean flew. He hit the wall and dropped. I just grabbed the third guy by the shirt collar and threw him into the dumpster. Don't kill me, he cried as he sailed through the air. I had no intention of killing anyone. I hoisted the knife guy into the dumpster with his friend. He wasn't breathing real well, but I figured he'd survive. Ha, I thought. Who needs Spider-Man when Marco was on the case? When I was telling myself just how cool I was, I heard the sound. It was a click. 2 clicks, actually. The sound of an automatic pistol being cocked. I spun around. Blam, blam! It was the first guy, the one I'd thrown over my shoulder. He was up on his feet, gun pointed. I was big. I was powerful. But a gun was a whole different story. And loud. Man, are those things loud. Ha! Come and get some, monkey man. I barreled behind the dumpster. I leaned my massive shoulders into it and sent it rolling and spinning and sliding at the guy with the gun. Ah! Blump! So much for the guy with the gun. I checked. He was alive. He wasn't happy, but he was alive. The gun was nowhere to be seen. Well, Marco, I thought, that went okay. Now find someplace private, demorph, call 911 to come arrest these guys, and you can still get home in time to watch Letterman. Unfortunately, I had forgotten one thing. Get out of here, you monster. The old man, the one I had just risked my life to save. He was standing, facing me. He was shaking with fear and red in his face. Oh, I thought, so that's where the gun went. The old man was pointing the gun at me. Back, you demon! Don't come any closer! Blam, blam, blam! I tore out of the alley with bullets whizzing through the air, which just goes to show you why you should never get involved in other people's problems. Chapter 2. Yeah, so then I do the gorilla thing, right? I save the old man. I'm the hero. I am Spider-Man. I am Wolverine. I am Batman. Or at least Gorilla Boy, Rachel interrupted. She did a forward flip as we walked across the springy grass. Rachel's into gymnastics. It's very distracting when someone flips while they're talking to you. It was the day after my big hero act. We were all out on the far meadow of Cassie's farm. Me, Jake, Cassie, and Rachel, strolling through little bunches of wildflowers. Tobias was flying overhead, about 100 feet up, in a sky dotted with bright white clouds. And what happens as I'm playing Captain America? I ask. The old man unloads the gun at me. I totally lost the milk in my bag of M&Ms. Jake gave me a disgruntled look. Marco, it was good of you to rescue the old man, but you really shouldn't be turning into a gorilla. Now, as you're reading this, you're probably thinking, Marco, time out. You left out a few things. Like, how can you turn into a gorilla? Good question. It happened on a dark night when we were all heading home from the mall. There were 5 of us. Me, you already know. Jake is my best friend, even though, unfortunately, he's kind of a pain sometimes. He's one of those serious type guys. You say the word responsibility and he snaps into attention. He's the kind of guy who always seems like he's bigger than he actually is. That's because he has this whole I'm in charge and you can trust me thing going on. He has sensible brown hair and trustworthy brown eyes and one of those confident chins. He also has a great sense of humor and is very smart, and I would trust him with my life any day, any time. Not that I would ever tell him that. And then there's Cassie. I didn't really know her very well back then, but I think she's kind of like Jake's girlfriend now. Of course, no one is supposed to know this. Shh, big secret. Cassie is the one who, at least like me, is the least like me. If I'm comedy, she's poetry. She's a natural peacemaker. She's the one who knows when you're feeling bad and will find something nice to say that will make you feel better. It's not like she's manipulating. She really cares about things. She's like sincere or something. Cassie is our animal expert. Her parents are both vets, and she spends most of her time helping her dad run the wildlife rehabilitation clinic. It's in the barn at their farm. They save injured woodchucks and deer and eagles and so on. Cassie actually knows how to get an injured, angry wolf to take its pills. Not an easy thing. Believe me, I was a wolf once. You go out to her barn and you'll see this little short black girl in overalls and boots with her arms halfway down the throat of a wolf that could just bite it right off. And she'll be smiling and acting like it's no big deal. And the wolf will just be standing there looking like he's trying to earn a gold star for being the best little boy in school. Then there's Rachel. Very beautiful. Very leggy, blonde supermodel type. Miss Fashion. Miss Properly Applied Makeup. Miss Has It All Looks and Brains. Rachel is Jake's cousin, and a total babe who, unfortunately, is also totally insane. See, somehow underneath all that perfect hair and perfect teeth, there's this lunatic Amazon warrior queen just fighting to get out. Here's what Rachel will say when we decide to do something so dangerous it makes you want to wet yourself. I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. I swear that if she could, Rachel would just be wearing a suit of armor and swinging a sword. And it would be a fashionable suit of armor. And she would look great in it. Then there's Tobias. That night in the construction site, he was just kind of this dweeby kid I barely knew. He liked Jake because Jake once kept some guys from beating him up. To be honest with you, I don't even remember what Tobias looks like or looked like back then. Now, of course, he looks like a fierce, angry bird of prey. There's a downside to the morphing power we have. The time limit of 2 hours. Stay more than 2 hours in a morph, and you stay forever. That's why Tobias was flying overhead, with his wide wings catching the warm updrafts. Tobias is a hawk, a red-tailed hawk, to be exact. And I guess he'll always be. I tease Tobias sometimes. What happened to him scares me. Anyway, on that night, we were cutting through this big abandoned construction site. It was supposed to be a shopping center, but they got it half built and then stopped. Then, to make a long story short, there was this spaceship. It was carrying an Andalite who was dying of wounds he'd gotten fighting the Yeerks up in orbit, or thereabouts. He's the one who told us about the Yeerks. The Yeerks are parasites. They use the bodies of other species. They take them over. They control them. That's what you call a human who's been taken over. A controller. A human controller. Jake's brother, Tom, is one. A controller. And Melissa, Rachel's friend, her father is one too. The Andalites fight the Yeerks. They've been trying to stop the secret Yeerk invasion of Earth, but basically they got their butts kicked. Before he died, the Andalite promised us that reinforcements would come, eventually. In the meantime, all he could do was give us a weapon. That weapon was the power to morph, to acquire the DNA of any animal we could touch, and then to become that animal. So that was the deal. The 5 of us, 5 regular, everyday kids, we were supposed to fight the Yeerks until the Andalites came along and rescued us. 5 kids versus the Yeerks. The Yeerks, who had already conquered terrifying Hork-Bajir and made them into controllers. The Yeerks with their creepy allies, the Taxon controllers. The Yeerks who had already infiltrated human society, making controllers out of cops and teachers and soldiers and mayors and TV news people. They were everywhere. They could be anyone. And all we had was 5 kids who could turn into birds. Or gorillas. I just don't think we should be morphing out in the street in order to get involved in everyday crime, Jake lectured me. Remember what happened at the used car lot with Rachel and Tobias? And you asked them if they were insane. I was about to argue when Rachel spoke up. I think Marco did the right thing, she said. What was he supposed to do? Just walk away? I don't think so. Okay, now I know I was wrong, I said. Anytime Rachel thinks I did the right thing, it has to be wrong. Besides, that was my whole point. I risked my life for that old man, and I don't even get a thank you. I don't know if it was a good idea, Cassie said, but the feeling behind it was good. I think it was heroic. Well, what could I say to that? It's very hard to disagree with someone who has just called you a hero. Jake decided to let it go. Unfortunately, the reason he decided to drop it was that he had something bigger to talk about. He got his serious look. I groaned. I hate that serious look. It always means trouble. Jake, are you going to tell me why we're out here walking the fields together, aside from the fact that it's a nice day and all? We're going to see Axe, Jake explained. Cassie and I have been talking to him the last couple of days. You know, about what he wants to do. Uh-oh, I muttered. I just know I'm not going to like this. Well, probably not. Axe wants to go home, Jake said. Home? Rachel repeated. To the Andalite homeworld, Cassie said. Axe, whose real name is Aximili Escaru Thistle, is an Andalite. I stopped walking. The others stopped too. Excuse me, but isn't the Andalite homeworld kind of far away? Axe says it's about 82 light years, Jake confirmed. Light travels about 180,000 miles per second, I pointed out. Times 60 seconds per minute, times 60 minutes per hour, times 24 hours per day, times 365 days per year. That's 1 light year, times 82 years. Rachel laughed. So you have been staying awake in math class, Marco. We tried to figure it out in miles, but none of our calculators could go that high, Jake said. You know, Jake, I could be wrong, but I don't think any of the major airlines fly to the Andalite homeworld, I said. Uh-huh, he said with a nod. I know. And that's why we'll have to steal your spaceship. Chapter 3. There he is, Cassie said. I followed the direction of her gaze. Over toward the line of trees at the edge of the field, I saw him. Axe, the Andalite. From a distance, you would think he is a small horse or a deer. He has 4 hooved feet that flash with amazing speed. His upper body looks like a horse's neck and head, except that when he gets close enough, you see that he has 2 smaller, human-sized arms sticking out. His head is kind of a triangle with 2 huge almond-shaped eyes. Those are his main eyes. There are 2 extra eyes, each stuck atop a sort of stalk. The stalks stick out on the top of his head and move, pointing the extra eyes in any direction. But the thing that really makes you stare is the tail. According to Cassie and Rachel, Axe is cute. I wouldn't know, being a guy. All I know is, when you see that tail, you know right away the Andalites aren't exactly cuddly koala bears or puppies. The Andalite tail resembles a scorpion's tail. It curls up and over, and is armed with a wicked scythe blade. They can strike with those tails faster than your eye can see. I'd seen the first Andalite do it. In the seconds before the evil creature known as Visser III murdered the Andalite prince, he is struck with that tail again and again. That memory came back to me as I watched Axe galloping toward us, tail arched and ready. I hope there's no one around, Jake said anxiously. He scanned the area. It was pretty remote. Cassie's house and barn were right out of sight. And there was no reason why anyone would be this distant field. I looked up and saw Tobias's reddish tail feathers. I gave him a wave. All clear, Tobias called down to us in thought speak. There's some people having a picnic, but that's a couple of miles from here. Axe came galloping up. Prince Jake, he said, also in thought speak. Jake groaned. Axe had gotten into his head that Jake was our leader, which was partly true, and I guess for an Andalite, any leader is some kind of prince. Axe has no mouth. No one had asked him yet how he ate with no mouth. He communicates by thought speech. It's the same way we communicate when we're morphed. For us humans, it only works when we're morphed. For Andalites, it's the normal way to communicate. Hi, Axe, Jake said, and the Andalite came to a skidding stop just a few feet from us. How are you doing? I am well, and each of you? I'm fine, Cassie said. Tobias swooped down out of the sky. He braked and landed neatly on the grass. I'm fine too, Axe, I said, or at least I was until I heard someone say something really stupid. Axe looked uncertain. He swiveled one of his stalk eyes forward to get a better look at me. What stupid thing was said? Someone said we're going to try to steal a Yeerk spaceship, I said. He smiled an Andalite smile, which is hard to describe, except that it involves his main eyes. You think it will be dangerous? Dangerous? No. Jumping off a 10-story building is dangerous. Sticking your tongue in an electrical socket is dangerous, not to mention painful. But stealing a Yeerk ship is beyond dangerous. The higher the danger, the higher the honor, Axe said. Is this not true? I gave Rachel a sidelong look. I think we found your future husband. It may be honorable to try and get a Yeerk ship, Axe, but honor isn't our most important goal, Jake said. The Andalite looked surprised, I think. His main eyes widened, and his stalk eyes stretched up to their maximum height. It looked like surprise to me. What else do you fight for, if not honor? Jake shrugged. Look, we're trying to do whatever we can to hurt the Yeerks, but we're also trying to stay alive. We're all there is. I mean, no one else even knows that there's a Yeerk invasion. So if something happens to us... He let it hang. I did not mean to offend, Axe said. You are right, of course. You are alone. If you fail, all is lost. So the question is whether this is something we can do without getting killed, Jake pointed out. Yeah, we're mostly against the idea of getting killed, I added. So how are we supposed to grab a Yeerk ship? They're up in orbit. We're down here. It's not like we can call them up and ask them to come down. Yes, we can do that, Axe said. What? We can call them. Right. I can create a Yeerk distress beacon. They will send a ship to investigate. You mean like, hello, is this Visser 3? Could you send a ship down here to pick me up? I said. I expected everyone to laugh because the idea was so totally ridiculous. No one laughed. Excuse me? I said, trying again. Personally, I've had plenty of Visser 3 in my life. I don't need to call him on the phone. It will not involve that foul beast, Axe said. That was one thing I liked about Axe. He hated Visser 3. He reminded me of the Andalite Prince, who was Axe's older brother. When either of them said the word Yeerk, let alone Visser 3, you could just feel the air vibrating from their anger. It will be a minor matter, Axe said. They will hear a distress beacon and send a bug fighter to investigate. There is always at least one Hork-Bajir and one Taxxon aboard each bug fighter, I pointed out. Anytime you start playing with Hork-Bajir, it's not a minor thing. Do you fear them? Axe demanded. He stared at me with all four eyes. You better believe I fear them. Fear is unworthy of a warrior. He seemed a little too determined for me. I don't know that much about Andalites, but I had a feeling I understood this one, at least a little. See, he was alive, but every other Andalite who had come to Earth, including Axe's brother, the prince, was dead. So I took a shot. It wasn't fair, maybe, but he'd made me mad, acting like I was some kind of coward. How many times have you fought Hork-Bajir, or any other controller? I asked him. His stalk eyes drooped. He pawed the ground with one hoof. Never, he said. I nodded. I thought so. So let me tell you something, Axe. It's scary. It's so scary that sometimes you wish you could just go ahead and die because it's easier than dealing with the terror. Well, I thought as I looked around at my friends, that pretty well killed everyone's happy mood. It was Tobias who broke the silence. If you get a Yeerk ship, can you get back to the Andalite homeworld? Axe seemed abashed, but he answered, Yes, I hope so. And if you make it, can you do anything to hurry your people up? To get them back here quicker? I am young, like you, but I am the brother of Prince Alfangor. My people will listen to me. I know that they will come either way. But yes, perhaps if I can return and tell them how desperate your situation is. Jake took a deep breath. Okay, time for a vote. I groaned. I already knew what it would be.